busting the world's oldest conspiracy by revealing the first writers' formats in the Bible. Have you ever wondered who is editing the Bible? These are some of the words written by the 1611 King James translators that are wrote in its preface. They state 4 reasons how anyone can re-edit the text in the Bible. Their third reason is by the light and feeling we attained unto ourselves. The next arrow down points to them writing, a great clerk, Gregory, is the divine, spelt with a capital D. At the bottom, they will tell you by studying the Bible, your reward is to have a participation in a heavenly nature. Whereas the Bible's words should be telling you how to be obedient to our Creator to enter into heaven. Now you know by their own words, they are not the good guys editing the Bible. Here, let me show you the 12 commandments that are listed in Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Surprising, isn't it? Now let me show you how I changed one word in Exodus chapter 26, verse 26, the word bars to arches, and now you know that these planks make the hip roof for the tent for meeting for Yv. Why did I just use 2 letters for our Creator's name? Well, Hebrews did not have the letters J, O, or W in their language. Therefore, I am closer when I say the letters YV in English than anyone else. It is better to learn how to pronounce these 2 letters in Hebrew. Our Creator made me see Him 8 times, and these videos are my recording of how and why I am re-editing their text. Then all these books that I am editing will be made into one book in order. In my YouTube description, it has our Creator's hidden formats in a PDF of the same text. In fact, it is a message to everyone today and in the future. I have also made many different styles from these hidden formats for copyright reasons. All right, chapter 16 didn't go over too well. It was completely dismissed. So that's what happened in 15 as well. So I have to come back here to show you what I found in 14. And this is what I'm saying as the hidden formats by the first writers. Now, to understand this a little bit more than what I've just got above my head, I'm using 2 major words, example, His name, our Creator's name, and the word words, and then adding the least amount of smaller words to connect them to make a verse, as you can see here and here and here and here. So, and it's also down here and here. Now, what happens to these is that this verse and this verse make a statement or a longer sentence, as so does this. So then when you see how closely grouped they are, they actually make what I call as a paragraph or a small paragraph. Now, when the text looks like this, where I have these 2 connected together, and I have a wider space here than above here. So this becomes 2 like paragraphs that could be said to be a larger paragraph. And that's what I'm doing with or looking for in the text. Now, there is a 3-verse format in the text, and if I come across it, I will talk about that. But right now, I would like to start chapter 17. It's 24 verses long, so it's going to take probably 2 hours to get through. And what I'm going to do with these, I'm putting the pieces together in the correct order to have a truthful story from Genesis to the returning on the promised land before Jesus appears by the Hebrew text. And then what I'm using is the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, finding the most truthful sentences and then putting them together into an order. A lot of this you can find on my website. But the most important part is our Creator's message by His hidden formats that are hidden in the text. very sophisticated, and it's a repeatable, first of a kind in literature to say that there's rules that must be followed to get very close to the wording that I have found. It is the changing of the words that the knowledge comes from me, that I corrected the text. That's important, and that's what I'm doing these videos for, is to show the repeatable proof, or to show the proof that the hidden formats exist by correcting little words, like needing the word S on here, not needing the word the, changing the title Lord to his name, YV, and I've explained that in the intro. So, but just like these have to come from him, they're not of him, and that's a big difference, because these small words actually end up making the text read first person. See, I don't need these words here. Words from YV came to me. Now, this is going to either be prophesying or not. So the thing here is I don't know that for sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, because I should have done this a long time ago. But what I do is I got to make a cheat sheet for myself, so I don't have to do that every time now. And the Son of Man, this is just non-existent. This doesn't make sense when you see the format. It says propound a riddle. Now, we know that words like this were not in the Hebrew's language. So what is the word that they would have used? And down here, I'm using the New American Standard text from 1977, because it has a concordance. The concordance, they've just changed the lettering around on a lot of the words to then say they own the copyrights to Strong's text. And down here, what's great about this program is they show you how many times they use this word. And here I was hoping to say something like, if I go to the word like now, which is not there, which means Strong didn't feel that was a strong enough word. But if I go to the word words, you can see how many times that they actually use this word as, like Chronicles, 38 times. So how does a word mean Chronicles, which we know the definition for Chronicles is pretty much the ordering of, okay? So, but you see affairs, you see answers, there possibly that could be used. Commandments, we know that there is a word for commandments. So this is the dirty secret of the Bible, that the text that you're reading in English has been so changed to mean what they want it to mean. But what I'm using is trying to say to the most of these Hebrew words when I'm using two words together. So you can see came and says is here in the text. So, but when it comes to the word profound, I know that this is strictly an English word. So I've got to either come up with a better word than propound, because what I'm looking for is trying to find the easiest text being able to be read by a 12-year-old without going to a secular dictionary, okay? Because a lot of times the Hebrew text defines the word. Example, our Creator says, I created man, male and female. So the word man means male or female, and not the secular definition, meaning just men. So the thing here is are you obeying our Creator's definition of the word, or are you a secular person and faking it as a Christian? So the thing here is you should understand that there are many words that are defined by our Creator's, or the Hebrew text, than what the editors of the Bible are using that changes his definitions. So propound, even though I don't like that word, I now try to say, what other step can I take? And I can say, let me take this word and go to the theorists and say, offer, yield, propose, promote. These are some of the words that I could probably go to, or help me go to another word completely that I would put in gray, as that it needs to be completely added by me. So propound a riddle, offer a riddle. So I'm going to use the word offer. Offer them a riddle. Oops, I've got the word a here. So I'm adding this text, but this is supposed to be our creator speaking, so all these words would get highlighted in purple and all capital letters. Offer them a riddle. And what I'm going to do is come over here for riddle. And actually, what they have over here is for riddle, they have 10 times a dark saying, a difficult, or that this word wasn't in the Hebrew language. So we can see that a riddle is a good word, I guess, but now we have to make sure that the text is going to say a riddle. Or is this verse wrong because of the wording that I can see by adding the word propound and the word riddle? We know what parables are, and speak a parable to this has to be not house, it's either nation of Israel or the tribes of Israel. And because there's many other races now living in the nation Israel that should not be in the land at all. I'm saying he's probably speaking to those alone, so it'd be the tribes. For Israel. And Israel is a nation that has been evil right now, that they've left our Creator by not obeying the 12 commandments. So to bring that to light in the words, I'll use all capital letters and small capital letters, and not large. Large will mean that it's a good nation, and when it's all capital letters that's not bold, it means the full nation as they came out of Egypt. So, whoops. Tribes. I can do that. Speak a parable. Whoops, I do need the word tribes, the tribes, for Israel. And what I've got here is a comma and a period, like a statement, and I have a comma and I have a period here, and I can say that this, I can say, is completely out now. Okay, so now I have a 4 verse, because this makes a small paragraph. And you can see how the subject changes here. Propound came to, words from YV came to me, saying. Now, I'm going to use the word saying because a lot of times it will be like, I'd have to change this to prophesy to them. But what this also means is that the words just came to him while he was completely awake, and the words came into his head. And we learned that through Jesus defining what is Holy Spirit as really our Creator's words coming to you, either out your mouth and He'll speak prophecy, and those are completely His words. And then the words come for Him to hear inside His head, and then He can tell them what He wants them to say without Him speaking to him from like a burning bush. So we know there's several ways that He can communicate with a prophet or judge or whomever He has chosen, saying, speak a parable to the tribes for Israel. So this we can say is a double that it's already been said. A great eagle with great wings. This seems not to be anything here. Full of plumage with many colors. And then, but how many? But this is with long pinions. I'm thinking I'm going to need this. And pinions are the claws with long, I think I'm going to change the word here, claws. A great eagle, but this can't be eagle. It's got to be a bird, because eagle has, anybody who's seen an eagle knows that the head is pretty much colored in white, and the rest of the body is brown colored. But the eagles are very large and they soar high in the sky. But a great, so this has to be a great bird because it's got many colors, because full of plumage just doesn't matter. So a great bird. And actually, it's not great anymore. It's a large bird. A large bird. Now we have with great wings. A large bird with large wings. And long claws. Let's see what they're doing over here with the word claws. See, they've got it. Okay. Now they've actually made pinions wings one time. Why would they use wings? I'm trying to read the rest of the story here, and I can see down here it's going to pluck off the topmost of a cedar. So I can see right now that this is going to split here for 4 verse. So, and I'm going to put not long, but again, large claws. Yes, I still have to hunt and peck for words, the keyboard. I've been doing this for 30 years. You think I could get better than hunt and peck yet? But okay, and I added this word, so with large claws. and large claws and many colors. So plumage, what does I got for plumage here? Okay, now here they do have the word feathers. And what is the word for full? Pregnant. Full 52 times. I think it's the color. I think it's the color that they took out. So let's not have this. Let me go back to here and say, and if I say brown here, feathers, and then use feathers here, then I have an eagle. So and it has to be with. Now I have this, and now I have a large eagle. Whoops. And get rid of the word bird. Now I think this is corrected as best as I can. A large eagle with large wings and large claws. I guess I could use the word long. Now this is even funnier. Now this gets to how come I can't put the text back the way it should be by using the word that they're using most of, and then they had to have here. It had slow claws. Slow claws. So who is slow? So if I'm using the word long once, you can see the corruption here in the text. They didn't want to use what they would use most of it. It is so far off from slow to long. Okay, you get the idea how the text is being distorted now. But I will go with long. With long claws. Okay, with brown feathers. That makes it an eagle. Okay, now I'll say that. And this you can see is now a grouping. So I can say, okay, let me find the next two um, reverse grouping. And you can see I've got it pretty much here. Came to Lebanon and took away the top of a cedar. Now, why are they in Lebanon? There's no reason to be in Lebanon because there's talking to the people in Israel. Okay, now here's something that I know that you don't know, but I do know. And I'm going to need a map to explain that let me get up the timeline for the kings here first. Ezekiel is supposed to be a prophet either at this time here, or I'm getting words from up here, but a lot of the words from here are talking about the end for this king. So that's why it has to be in this place, because he's talking about how corrupt the king and priest are at this time. But some of the text is over here. Now, what has happened is under this king, they lost East Manasseh. Okay. And that was to Hadad, a guy from Aram, which is pretty much the city of Damascus, the king of in Damascus area. So it would have been one of the first kings, and then his sons, you can see, had his name tied to his name as his son to his son. And then this guy named his son, and he killed his father. But then the only thing is what I'm saying here is that when it came to Israel, how come I don't have that open yet? Okay, that's why it was funny. Actually, this is East Manasseh, and Damascus is just out of sight here. They came down and took this. So, to correct the story with the knowledge that I know about, came to Israel. And this would be because all the kings for Israel were not really good. There was only a couple kings you can see with capital letters that were good kings. And at this time you can see there were bad kings. So I have to now use Israel like I did up here. So you understand that we're talking about Israel, the nation. And this is being changed to the correct word. Came to Israel and took away the top of now there are different types of trees we know when we search trees of Lebanon, and you can do or not of Lebanon, of Israel. We know there are olive trees. And olive trees are very large, okay? But it has the topmost, plucked the topmost, not plucked, but took off, I would say, is a better way of saying this. So this is going to be added, and we don't need to put the eagle as a he. Took off the top. So let's get that right too, and just get rid of this, and then put a period here as the end. So took the top of a, I'm just going to put tree. It's simple instead of having to, because people are going to say that if I put like olive tree, the olive was representing of such a this. So if I just say tree, it's general, and then they have to go back and understand that I'm talking about West Manasseh or East Manasseh. So By that, I'll do this. And I can see took away, came to Israel, and took away, because it no longer belongs to Israel, it now belongs to Damascus. Took away the top of a tree. Cedars didn't, that's why they put Lebanon in the word cedar, because cedars grow in Lebanon, and they grow very big back then. I mean, they could be easily 80 to 100 feet tall, which is really large for a cedar tree today. So I have to put a comma there. Took away has to be, oh, this is almost like it's saying the same thing. Now that we know that it's Israel, and this large eagle with large wings would have been Damascus. Now we're speaking of Aram, who had power. Now at that time, even before this king here lost it, we can go back up to David's time, and when the king of Lebanon, who is actually Shem's descendants from Noah, and that's where the promise starts to go to Abraham from Shem, from Noah to Shem, and then we trace down to Abraham. So this, when he is here, the king from Lebanon came and built a house because David had went and conquered them up there, or had fought them, and they were at war with Lebanon, but they could not come in and defeat David. So since David beat them off, he says, that was what you did for me was good, and this is why I'd like to have you. In other words, he brought his power down, but as it regained over the years, our Creator is describing and now telling us in this verse, these verses, they're very strong with this eagle as being mighty. Okay, so that's what this proverb, because it's a story that I can tell you that he's saying it this way, but these words mean this. So this is a parable. All right. Example, let me give you a parable real quick. Jesus said, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of the needle than a rich man, which means that Jesus, to get to his kingdom, he is the one who is deciding to enter into his kingdom. So he is referring to himself as the needle, which the eye of the needle is like, yes, yes, you may enter, but no, no is the sharp point that you're not getting in. So that is easy to now understand what a parable means once you hear the answer. So it's easy here to understand the answer since I've said this. Came to Israel and took away. I would have to say part of a tree. part of a tree. And then we can say it's what part later. Let me see what they got for the first one here. Took away. No, I want top. Top. 5 times. Okay, but I can't use it as a top. In fact, part would be actually a branch. So, took away a branch. And you can see by that meaning a part of a tribe. So that's even better that it's said this way. Okay, branches of a tree. In the top. Took a branch. And it from the top. So I'm going to say I've got to get rid of this. I'm saying this. I'm adding this. I'm adding this. And plucked is pretty close to removing, so that's not being wrong. Came to Israel and took away a branch of a tree, removing it from the top. And that's exactly the proverb. So they would know what this proverb means. So, and its young twigs, and brought it to the land of merchants. These guys were marauders, raiders. They gathered by stealing from people. So this is not true. And brought it to a land. And I don't need the word merchants. Into a land, meaning become part of. And brought, well, I guess I do need the word it, into a land. And settled it with traders. Now that would be new to me, because all I know is that they removed, or they took those into captivity. This would be a new learning and an understanding to me, what they play or set in. And they brought it into a land. And brought it into a land. To set it to set it up as their city, for their city, to set it next to their city, to set. He also took some of the seed in the land and planted it in fertile soil and placed beside it abundant waters, and it's like a willow. This has nothing to do with this because I've got it as a tree, and a tree's seeds, they didn't flourish up there. They were taken over as captives. So now the abundant waters is the river by Damascus, which is a very large river. And Israel has many rivers. And so rivers, fresh water is very important for people to exist by. And brought it to a land with abundant waters, and placed it beside abundant waters. And this would be Damascus area by saying these two are together. To be placed to the land, set it because the story is how he's got this part that he's removed. So I have to have the word brought it into a land to set it by a city. And this is not needed. So this is true now. This is true. Now, see, this is what I mean sometimes, that you guys would never been able to edit this text. So that's really good why I'm doing this video, is because to explain each of the changing, and then to see that it does still continue with what I changed up here. So, and then now these two become that next group. Okay. Now this has nothing to do with the important of anything is to say there. So now, hey, now there was another great eagle. Ha! Aha! Now we're getting to the, where is it? Now we're getting it to be that this is going to happen, that these are going to go to another king. Now, so the text again is going to be coming from this area here, or really through this area. It depends on how the story is to how close. If he uses the word Assyria, which I don't see it, would mean our Creator is giving him a proverb about another great kingdom, which means that's usually 30 years before it happens. So he's ruling for 38 or 28. So at the end of his 38 is when he falls. So there's 28, and then there's 50 years. So this text would be coming from up in here. Okay, and this prophet is from Israel now, to where Ezekiel is a prophet in Judah. So we have two prophets pieces here. There is another. So now, and not but I'm going to change this to now, and that used as a important word, but I do need this word to say now there is another eagle. So if I did this and change this, and now there is another eagle, and say this and this, because I had to use this word. I couldn't get away with it. I needed this word, so I'm going to make those two words as that verse. Is another eagle, which would be talking about Assyria. But this is a different subject right here, with brown wings and with, and I would say greater. Assyria was bigger. Another eagle with greater wings, meaning area of being covered. Greater wings. And this was feathers. And I have to use the word brown just because I had brown before, but I'm adding that word. And brown feathers, which describes the eagle. Okay. Behold, this vine bent its roots towards him and sent out its branches. This was be sending out his army. Boy, this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be here with this text, because and it's got to be, I'm looking for, and gathered, not sent out, but gathered branches. Because I know in our creators hidden formats, they lose these 7 here. I think there's there's got to be 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, West Manasseh and East Manasseh. So yeah, okay. But it's talking about East Manasseh gone. So that's these, and these were left because they had no king for a while because it was pretty messed up there. And most of the people did flee down here. We have story of from Ezekiel saying that, talking to the people that left here that have now joined with Israel or with Judah, don't bring your practice here, but that's too late. But that would have been text before this king's time. So it would have been that those words I would say would go right here from Ezekiel. So the thing here is Isaiah is the one that tells this king that he's going to have 15 more years added, if you understand the stories. So then it would be 15 years he's going to die. So if Isaiah passes away, Ezekiel starts through here. But these words are coming from a different prophet up here, talking about these going to be gone. Okay, I'm just trying to put it in my head. Now, how do I say those words here that he's going to take some branches, send out its branches, and behold, like a vine, not gathering branches. So this, like a vine, and like a vine, bent its roots, sending it not roots but shoots, like a vine sending. It's not its shoots, it's its branches. The vine creeps along and then it keeps spreading out and branch off, and then, yeah, so it's got to be sending its branches. Now, I think I've got this right. And like a vine sending its branches toward him would be outward. Towards him from a bed. I don't see that. This, that it might get watered. That it, I'm not sure if the word might is actually there. So let me check to see if it is. Yield branches. Because this is ridiculous, let's see. Truth over everything. I'm sorry I missed your first post here. I'm reading that. If I showed you a numerical miracle from the Quran, which is irrefutable, would it be interested in to look into it further? Actually, you don't understand what the Quran is. Do you know what the crescent moon means? The crescent moon means that you can sit and meditate and have sex with a female goddess, and you become a god. And this is, you probably heard of the 3 daughters of the moon goddess, but let me tell you what here. Let me show you Muhammad's horse that he went to Jerusalem on. This is a female goddess. This is his horse. This is one of the most ancient drawings of Muhammad's horse. In Christianity, they're making the female goddess Mary, and she's tied to this crescent moon, the crescent moon. See this? So what happens on this, let me show you in the Bible. See this crescent moon? Crescent moon? That's what this means. So no, that's you just don't know what you're talking about. So let me show you this here. This is the 1611 preface, and the Muslims are right when they say the Bible is corrupt, but they don't understand why the Bible is corrupt. So let me show you. The translators put in their own words. Gregory is the divine, and for studying the Bible, down here is and lastly, the end reward, the study of the text that you're going to read, is just to have a fellowship with saints and a participation of a heavenly nature. And I'm sure you're a believer that Allah is a creator. So how does this would even make sense to you, that these guys are corrupt, that there's no such thing as a heavenly nature? So this is not ridiculous what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm finding the first writers. Oh shit! I'm finding the first writers' formats. So let me go back here. I forgot to bring you back over here. This is Muhammad's earliest drawing of his horse that he rode into Jerusalem, which we know that couldn't happen because Rome had destroyed the house for our creator. But it's a female goddess picture here, and this crescent moon is here. It's here how the church is trying to make her the female goddess. So, and then I was showing you this is an 1800s Bible, how they have the crescent moon sitting here, and how Jesus is trying to explain to this guy about the crescent moon and how to become a god. Now, but what I'm showing here is that I can bring up this and show you how they wrote this poetry-like format that I'm showing. That if I put a major word and a major word together with the least amount of words, and then do this again, I have a comma and a period that make a sentence, and it repeats again. This ends up becoming a small paragraph. When it does it again, these two become a larger paragraph because the subject is the same. Then I put a space between it. Now, if you're thinking I can come up with all this to make it actually show up as this, all the text that I'm finding here in Ezekiel, as I have found in many other books, you can see that this is repeating, and this is how they wrote. This is revealing the first writers. So who are the ones that are editing the text? And that's the same guys I was just telling you about that are writing for the Quran. They're meditating to have sex with a so-called female goddess. So what I can show you that in the Bible, they even mention this. In Malachi 2:11, Judah, the nation, has married the daughter of a foreign god. Well, the foreign god is Ra, the sun god. The daughter has to be a moon goddess, and I know that if you've ever talked to anybody about the moon goddess, the three daughters, well, how do you do this marrying of this? Well, you sit and meditate on the certain moon days, and the three goddesses are right here listed in the Bible as well. So they're tying it to the Phoenician, which is wrong. It should be to the Egyptian goddess. But the thing here is that's what I'm removing and proving that there was writers before this, and the text that shows up then becomes the first words that were written that we can trust that this writing becomes very beautiful and says that this writing existed and they've corrupted it. Now, if you see the link that I have in the chat, that if you do this self-proof of afterlife, that's what makes me different than everybody else. That if you do this, you will have proof that you have a soul. You don't need to have the practice of becoming a god. And you will talk to those that have died from the planet off this earth, or the bodies have died, but their souls are out there, and you can talk to them. That is what makes me completely different. Okay, our Creator made me see him 8 times. So if you do that, what I'm saying right here, which is safe enough for a 13-year-old to do 3 times, you only need to do it once, and you'll know that what I'm talking about, everything I've just said, is absolutely truthful. So it is not to even try to tell a lie, not to make assumptions. The closer to the truth you become, or speak the truth, the closer you become to our Creator. If you have any other questions, go ahead and make a comment. But this is not ridiculous. I even know that one day on a crescent moon day, a male's maleness retracts inside his body and he becomes a half man, half beast. And let me show you that ancient symbol right there. It's in the zodiac sign. Here it is on the Vatican Vatican house, the house, or on the Vatican itself. And in the courtyard, they have an Egyptian obelisk. So that obelisk is going to be talking about Ra, the sun god. So this is what happens to a female when she ends up having that Halloweeny time for a male, that his maleness retracts inside his body like an animal, half man, half beast, something like what the Sphinx is. This is what happens to a female's rosebud, becomes like an owl's maleness, and that becomes thin like a sword and about 1.5 inches long. So looks just like a sword. So maybe you've seen the pictures of that in X-rated pictures or whatever, and now you understand what you saw. It's just a female saying that that's what happened to me. So, his branches spreading, his branches outward. Like if I'm spreading his branches outward. Set out its branches outward. That it might water it. So I was getting to the point of what the word might meant here. That's where I was at when I was here. It was might, and then I seen his post, and it does not exist. So let me get rid of it here. But it wasn't to plant it. Yes, it was. It was to establish their territory. Assyria, when it came down, it means that it was under Syrian control. And sent out its branches by, like a vine sending out its branches. For its branches to be planted. It was planted and bear fruit to become a splendid vine. This word might is not needed. Yielding branches. Splendid might mean greater. Glory, mantle, robe, garment. So that's wrong. But this needs to say what this is going to become here. Branches outward to bear fruit would mean to gather the Israelis. So I could add this. This would be useful here. That's not there. Send out its branches outward. So that means it has been sent out. To be planted by water. To be planted by water. Wow. Oh, wow. Boy, I can't hardly talk here. I can't get rid of my cold neither. That's the problem. This, when you planted it by water, that does mean it's good soil too. So this is saying the same thing. And this would be saying the same. Well, I only need one more verse. To bear fruit, which means to gather to take captives, to bear fruit. So now this is very much truthful. It relates to this story up above here. So now, it will thrive and will not pull up the roots. Well, this is not being truthful as anything more than its bear fruit. That the land is captured, it's now owned by Assyria. So this is out. Fuchsia colored words are words that were added in the 1977 NSAB text. Now this east wind strikes, that would be Babylon. So let me see here. How can I explain this? That Assyria is coming down and it's going to come in here and go all the way up to like right here and stop. They're going to take Damascus. This is the Sahara Desert, so there's nothing here. And they're going to own all this. Are they going to go fight the Chaldeans? I'm not sure. But this would be the east wind, Babylon overtaken Assyria. But this, and they're on the beds where it had grew. So this would be truthful. Behold, though it was planted to thrive, it will not completely wither, which is true. The Babylon's going to absorb them, or they're going to make an agreement to say, okay, you killed our king, now we're part of you. But I don't think that's telling the future too far away. So, okay, now this, because this we're still having our crater talk. This is some. Behold, although it was planted, it was planted and will thrive. And not completely wither. I'm trying to see if I can use 2 verses from up here or something to get these 4 verses, because it seems like it wants to break here. So I need 1 or 2 verses connecting together to do this. This would not be soon. This would be later. Later from later, not from later, the east wind will strike it. So that's later. That's what I want to get. a east wind. A east wind will strike it because it's talking about a vine. So and it will wither and die where it grew. So the word, I got to put and die, or die off. Now, of all the prophecies that our Creator has been, I know about, of this timeline, this would be the first time that I can say that this is two prophecies within a parable. And so it's and I want to do this with this. Okay, and we'll die off where it grew. Well, that's truth. But I've got to have behold, although, behold, though, behold, that doesn't seem right. Okay. Behold, even as it was planted to thrive, it will completely wither. And this is the story of it withering. So these two are going to be the truthful part here. It was this would have to be even though if I use this verse here, and neither by its strength neither by its strength, even though I'd have to put the word even here, and I'm going to have to add it as my word. Even though, boy, that's kind of rough, but now that's digging out the mud, okay? And it's all because I know that this is what's going to happen. But up here, when I have this here, came to Israel, I thought this was just going to be about Israel. Okay, maybe this is what that Babylon comes down and swoops up this. That's what's going on. This is what this is talking about. This is going to go once and then this part is going. So that's what's going on here. Okay. It's going to wither off and die where it grew because Babylon's going to come down. No, it's not. That's not it, because actually Assyria comes back down to get it. So, neither by its strength, even though it was planted, it will thrive. It will not completely wither. Later, a north wind, it has to be north wind. That would mean Assyria is coming back down. Later, a north wind will strike it. Will strike at it. Then it will wither off and die. Then, wow. Now that would be the prophecy of what I'm trying to say is that these are going to be lost. And then it's still under their domain. They started with another king, but then when they returned, they took this because this king here for Assyria sends out his commander to approach Jerusalem, and he's the king of Jerusalem, and Isaiah is going to reject him by saying that he will not enter and I will defend you. This is our Creator's talking to Isaiah, that tell the king these words, that he will hear a rumor and he will leave the way he came. So knowing that they came down the second time, that is where this text comes to play here. And neither by its strength, even though it is planted, even though it is planted, it thrives. Thrives. Not to be completely withered. Later, yes, because it doesn't completely wither, not to be completely withered. Then later comes down again from the north, wind will strike. Then it will wither and die off where it grew. Correct. Babylon comes down. Okay, so that is the prophecy of them coming twice. I was wondering where that text was at. So, because I know we're going to have more stories of this, but this is the prophecy of this happening. So that means, again, this text is coming before this guy's time then. So it has to be coming from this king's timeline here. Okay, so I've got an idea where this text is at now. Okay, now he's going to be referring like S, then say it will be now to the rebellious tribes or nation. Let me just put it as a nation here. Do you not know what these... Do you not know what these are? It sure looks like I understand why they put the word mean there, but I can't use it. I'm going to add this word and then put it like this. And then say, okay. Yeah, see, this is the king of Babylon, and it's not. They got the wrong king. So is this the same subject as being said here, though? And it's not say, it's got to now ask. And this has to be tribes. Or is it the rebellious kings? And ask now to the rebellious kings. Because I've been saying that this text has to come from these areas. So it's going to be these kings. So this prophecy is coming in this time now because he's got to include at least two kings. And he's probably saying it during this king. Okay. Let's say ask now. This means like after he's prophesied or heralded these words, then he's now going to be presenting the question to the king. Now, in their land where they're at, let me see here and get rid of this one. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the newest map I made. Oh, where's this? Okay, good. First time I brought this map up. And what I did was I needed a map with the rivers. So I needed this river in the last group above. So this is the capital city for, I've got this at Jesus' time. This is all Israel, excuse me, and this part is gone. So I guess I got to make up another map that has Jezreel here. Anyways, this is where the prophet is going to be speaking to the kings that are here in Samaria for Israel. Because actually, there's the two are like this, and this up in this area. No, this area right here is where Samaria is at. So the prophet is up in here. It's to the kings being set up there. So where do they herald at to their king? So it has to be at the gate of Samaria as they come in and out, and the king is in Samaria. And actually, there's a story about Jehu becoming king, and he comes and kills the queen and king, and when he comes he kills the king on the outside, but the window from the fort is on the side to be witnessed this event. The queen lives up high on this area, so the king lived there and within this place. So for him to get the message to the kings, he would have to be at that entrance gate prophesying these things or heralding these things. It's very important to know these things to get the story correctly. So, as now to the rebellious kings. Do you not know what these are? And since I already described all of them, we can do this, but these are now a second subject. So this means I gotta find the story here to completely what's going on here. Then Harold. Then Harold. And I'm going to say that this I'm adding, so then Harold is two major words. Behold, you kings, because that's what he's doing. Or who he's asked to ask the question to. And I can't use the word Babylon. And I'm going to take a quick break. So here are the Psalms to look at for a while. All right. I hope you're happy reading those Psalms because they're all about Jesus. I put them together just for that reason. And I'll let them sit there for a while and then bring myself back on. But then herald, behold you kings. Kings. Come to Jerusalem, took its kings and princes and brought them to. Now, this is actually true, but this is they killed his sons, took him blind to Babylon, throw him in prison, and he died in prison. Now this, one of the royal family would be David's family. This would be Daniel. And he makes promises with Daniel about returning to the land. To return to the land. That my promises, not might, he would never say might, so that word is out. I'm just trying to find out where this is going. An envoys to Egypt. Okay, now this is where they know the story, but they're adding another like story someplace else in the text. Because what this is talking about, when Babylon comes down and encamps or besieges Jerusalem, they end up, the king is going to escape through the wall by the king's garden. And then they're going to go get captured down by the Jordan River. But the challenge this guy gives to the king is that if you're seeking help from Egypt, I will give you horses if you can put as many on it as you can. You will be I got that wrong. This is the king Ezekiel. I'm sorry. I was thinking it was this king here. It's this king here when Assyria comes down and he's going to challenge him. And like I was telling you earlier in this video, he's going to hear a rumor and send him away because he's mocking our creator. But he's talking about if you can put as many people on the horses I give you, I will be defeated. So that's how, but there's a likeness to the story that they're trying to put in here. And you would escape from his, like I said, he challenged him, if you could put him on the horses, then I'll leave. So this is all made up as a second story to what I know. We have a lot of text. So this is all just going to be thrown out. And I'm trying to find text now that goes with this, because there's another one, so this has to be like 2 spaces here. And then 2 spaces there. So this is a part of, and I need a second group to go with this. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. Just reminding myself where I was at and what I'm got to look for. Again, text from Babylon, which is years away, which means no, this can't be true either. It's too far away from the story, and I've already got the stories of everything that's needed and the prophecies. So, no. See, this is saying a like story, but no, it's not. It's not like Pharaoh. This is Babylon died. Pharaoh and his mighty army, a great company, will not help them in the war when they cast up a mountain. So this is just saying Egypt will not help them, but that's after you know the story. And our Creator wouldn't be just bragging these things. And he despised the whole spirit. This is not true. Our Creator does not have an oath. That's a pagan word. Looked at that his head. I don't think so. And bringing him to Babylon is wrong. And I can't remember what happens to King Pika. So now this might be what he says, because he says, ask now the rebellious kings, do you not know what these are? For I will spread out a net. If I put out here, I don't need the word over. Spread out a net. And that means to gather up, like gathering for fish. You'd scoop them up together, for captives, in other words. I'll spread out a net. For yours to be caught. He would have to be to yours, your people. So this would have to be for yours. No, I got that wrong. I added this word, to be caught. This has to be as captives. And I'm adding this word. This has to be to be brought. Be brought to, and he's now got to be telling him it's Assyria. Spelled right. And that's the correct word. This has to be as my judgment. Judgment. For, it has to be for. It has to be your, talking to the kings. I got to keep in mind who he's talking to. I almost did that wrong. For your evilness, to be against the Creator's evilness. This doesn't need to be here. Now that's the end of this one here. Will fall by the sword. The survivors will be scattered. And your, that's not a good your, that's a your survivors will scatter. and know. This is tying to the survivors. Your survivors will scatter. Don't need every wind, because there's no such thing as every wind. But, and know I have not spoken, but prophesied. Of them, to keep going with the words that who the survivors are going to know.